My name is John Osborne. I was an engineer at Gottlieb from 1972 to 1984. And when I started, this game was in the Gottlieb engineering department, abandoned. This is supposed to be a home game. The theory was that they would make a very simple, stripped-down game for use in the home. The main gimmick is the light box that folds down. That way there's no handling the light box, no plugs, no wires. And of course, how you're going to put the legs on was not addressed at that time. This is a very stripped down Texas Ranger. This back glass is an Italian added ball back glass. There are no extra balls given. And in an Italian game, you have 5 spots here to store the balls. There's nothing there. There's no extra ball feature. When I got the game, this was broken out. Apparently the game had been dropped, and the front end was in pretty bad shape. I had to use furniture clamps to glue it back together, but that was a pretty straightforward job. I did not look on the inside as if anything had been damaged. There was no damage, to the components. The front molding, see, there's no front door, so how do you get the front molding off? There is an extension down here, and it's the standard molding, the old style molding. You see a picture of the handle with the extension on it. You just reach under and take the molding off. The light box hinge, it looks like they tried a few different places. You see on the next view, you'll see there's some holes that were moved and changed, and so this thing was definitely put together by hand, slowly. Like, let's try this, let's try that, because there's a lot of holes covered up. In the back, you have the standard light box, but there's a piece of wood hanging down from it that has screw holes in it. You'll see it in this picture because it's snapped off. It snaps off real easily. I don't know why they did that. It looked like that would be something that they would abandon. So there's 4 bolts. There's 4 bolts in the usual place, and then in this tail piece down here. So I've just got the 2 bolts holding it, and it's perfectly adequate. You see there are some holes up here for the hinge that they kind of changed their mind a little bit. Try this, try that. Oops. The light box, the back glass is held in by this piece up here. It's a T-shaped piece. The rest of the slot completely open to the atmosphere. Anything that falls into here gets on the back glass, gets in the light box. There is a logo on the inside of the cabinet for some Chinese cabinet company. We don't know what the name of it is, or if it was used by other Gottlieb games. We don't know. See, maybe this cabinet wasn't made here. I doubt that's the case. But why there's a Chinese name on there, I don't know. The inside of the cabinet is pretty straightforward. There's no bottom board. You probably already figured that. There's no bottom board. Everything is in the light box, including the motor. There's 2 bells. There's a bell here and a bell here. Big bell, little bell. And this really shows the fact that it was made with used or obsolete parts. The small bell still has the copper hexavalent plating. The big bell has the newer trivalent chrome plating. So there's something of both. Same thing with the step units in the light box. Some are gold, some are silver. Inside here where the bells are, you'll see in the picture there are construction lines drawn for the holes. Like, this looks like a good place to put them. So they just draw lines. The hinge. Yeah, the hinge itself. It's just a piano hinge, about this long. But for some strange reason, the screws holding the hinge to the cabinet are Phillips head screws. The only Phillips head screws in the game, probably in the whole Gottlieb factory. I don't know why they did that, because the other side, the hinge to the light box, are regular oval head screws. In the light box, there's only 3 digits. This is a dummy, this is a dummy. So we have hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. The motor is also in the light box, and what you're seeing there is motor 2C, a special switch added to motor 2C. The plastic wire is 120 volts for the express purpose of resetting the bag. That's all this does. the bank, that switch is set up such that you get 2 hits from the motor. Don't know why they did that. I'm going to start the game and you'll hear it. Listen for the bank. Bang, bang. And it does that when it resets. The target bank does not reset in the out hole, only when it's complete. That's probably the oddest circuit in the game, and it was put in completely by hand because there's loose wiring outside in there, outside of the harness. Plastic wire just hanging out. The ball count unit has to be at 6, and the out hole relay pulls in, and that's what resets the drop target bank when you start the game. Oh, there was one wire back there. That's right. There was one orange wire that ran from one of the relays, the reset relays, down to the bank. That was a single wire, was not broken. They did not go through one of the plugs. It's just light box, Playfield. So when I took this game apart to really fix it, I had to cut that wire, unfortunately, and make it a little longer and then splice it with a wire nut. So that part is not exactly original. The transformer is in the back, as you can see. It's real hard to get at. It runs real hot because it's surrounded all around by structure. Okay, the relays are what you would expect to see on the bottom board. The tilt, out hole, reset, the usual things that you would see on the bottom board. They're lined up back here. And then the 3 score relays, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. The 10,000s is connected to the knocker. So when you get 50,000 points, which is the wow, you get 5 knocks. All through this light box and on the playfield, you can see where things were drawn in by hand. Like, where are we going to put this relay bag? Where are we going to put this? You can see, all the hand work. The light box insert is held in with 4 screws at an angle through the insert into the side of the light box. You can't swing the insert down. Replace bulbs, you do this business. You take this off, like I showed you, and take the glass straight up. There are places on the board here where the size of the hat is marked 3/4. It's written 3/4. Why they did that, I don't know, because this is not a new playfield. It's an old game. But I varnished them over so they wouldn't ever be eradicated. And again, that's part of the star rollovers here, not used, nothing there. They're just used for lights. The ball back gate here. This was undone. Somebody put a piece of wood there, wrote gate, and that's out. Another change on the play field is these targets. The first target here, the third target here. There's some tape put over this. I'm not sure what it is. It doesn't seem to be wearing off, but I think it would have said super bonus off. Turn the super bonus on. All it does is change the 1,000s to 10,000s. Remember, there's no replays, no extra balls, no reward. So this adds a bonus, that's all. Ball snubber rails were missing when I got the game. Actually, there are many things missing, but I would have thought that maybe they wouldn't have put those in. You don't care for home use where the ball bounces back. But there were marks there showing that it had been in place. So there were a lot of parts removed from this game. So I assumed that was probably supposed to be in there, so I replaced them. It could be, though, that this game was made from an existing playfield and maybe, they were just removed. There's no way to know. There's a lot of things that are no way to know about this game. Oh, again, there's the pictures of the hats with the sizes put on. Standard posts, more or less, except that the posts around here are the old style posts with smoother facets. These posts around here are newer with more pronounced facets. I think they just had a box of old parts that they just reached into. And these caps, these plastic caps that hold down the plastics, they were pretty out of date by now. They work, but sometimes if there's a lot of vibration in the game, they can just walk right off the post screw and end up on the playfield. Inside, as you can see, there's several cases where the wires were just taped back. Don't really know why. I'm assuming that they started with a Texas Ranger cable and modified it. There's no way to know. There's another one you can see wires sticking up. There's 3 wires tied together, all the same color. And there is the schematic. We can look at that a little later. That's the schematic for the bank reset. There is no switch in the ball trough. This is another thing. There's no switch and no wires there. The ball is subtracted in the out hole. All right, fine. But then the ball gets kicked over. But if the ball doesn't make it over the hump and goes back into the out hole, it subtracts another ball. So I think the customer is going to notice that. Because there is no front door, how do we get the front molding off? There is an extension on the mechanism here that you reach down through an opening under the cabinet. And see, it's the old style molding. And that's all it is. It's just an extension. You see it in the pictures. Okay. The horseshoe feature here was stepped by the star rollovers, but we don't have that anymore. There is no AS relay. These are stepped by a disc on the 100-point unit. So essentially every 1,000 points, it goes around. When it completes, it adds a bonus. So that's what makes that work. Now, I want you to hear this knocker. I'm going to bring up the bonus. And then we hit the super bonus. And we get in the out hole. There's no tilt reset. The tilt is when you tilt it, the balls subtract to 0. Very simple. Oh, didn't tilt it. Let's try that again. There. Well, now we're at the back of the game, and we'll take a look at the light box. I had to make the door because the door was missing. And pretty familiar stuff. Transform, but you can see the way it's against the wall here. It's very hot. 4 fuses, an on-off switch back here. Probably would have been better if it were out front, but there it is. Connecting plugs, which you don't have to bother with. Ball count unit. This is what in an Italian Anaball would be the Lightbox Advanced unit. 100,000, 200,000, so on. And it steps up to past 1 million. But when it resets, it doesn't reset, it steps forward to 0. So there's only 1 coil on it. Again, money saving. 3 units here. And here is tilt relay, hold relay, out hole relay, reset, and then the K relay, L relay, M relay for the 3 scores. Hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. The motor mounted on a special bracket, special plate. And pretty straightforward. They made a nice cable. I don't know if they made it by hand and just laced it up tight, because that can be done, or if it was done on a board. I tend to think it was done custom, because this, unlike the Playfield, this would never be found on a game. You would never have these in the light box. So very likely this was just done by hand and, skillfully laced up and skillfully soldered up. These wires here, this is the way the game came to me. Loose wires, not laced. This is to reset the bank. Back here, closed at 6th position ball count unit. Motor switch closed right now. That's why you get the 2 bangs. And this is from the out hole relay, which is again part of the bank reset. So that's what all this loose wiring is. I'd leave it as is. It's part of the charm of the unit. You'll notice hanging from some of the wires is some tags. We did this now and then if we had to change a wire. Instead of changing the wire, we just put a marker on there as to what it's going to be. And there's a tag here that says it should be red. And here's a wire that says, a tag that says the same thing, should be red. So that means that in the next iteration, this wire would be red. I'm not positive if this is even the same wire, but that's you see this sort of thing in engineering games. The decagon unit, the score unit, is standard issue at the time. All right. same as in all games, although who knows where they got this.